Top 10 Most Cruel Kings in History. 10. Qin Shang. Qin Shang united China and built the Great Wall, but also ruled with iron and fear. He ordered the burning of books that disagreed with him and buried hundreds of scholars alive to silence them. He forced millions into labor, building tombs, palaces, and roads. Most died and were buried under the construction sites they worked on. Obsessed with immortality, he drank mercury potions made by his alchemists. They didn't make him live forever, they slowly killed him. 9th, King John. You might know him as the villain in the Robin Hood stories, but the real King John was even worse. He starved prisoners to death, including his own nephew, and taxed his people until they were ruined. He humiliated nobles, betrayed allies, and angered the church. His rule became so unbearable that his own barons rose up and forced him to sign the Magna Carta, limiting royal power forever. King John's greed and cruelty accidentally helped create the idea of democracy, but it came at a terrible cost. 8. Emperor Yonggul. He built Beijing's Forbidden City and sent out massive fleets of explorers. But behind the walls, his rule was soaked in paranoia and death. After seizing power from his nephew, Yonggul ordered a brutal purge. Tens of thousands were executed along with their families, even infants. His secret police, the Eastern Depot, used torture chambers hidden beneath palaces. Nobody felt safe, not generals, not scholars, not even the emperor's own servants. 7th, Genghis Khan. He built the largest empire the world had ever seen, but he did it with fire and fear. Cities that resisted were burned to the ground, populations wiped out, rivers ran red with blood. It's estimated that 40 million people died because of his conquests. Yet to his people, he was a hero, uniting tribes, creating laws, and opening trade routes. Genghis Khan was both a builder and a destroyer, a man who shaped the world through terror. 6. Vlad the Impaler. He's known as Vlad the Impaler, but history remembers him by another name, Dracula. And believe me, the real man was far more terrifying than any vampire story. Vlad ruled the small kingdom of Wallachia in what's now Romania, a land caught between the powerful Ottoman Empire and hungry European princes. To survive, Vlad didn't just fight his enemies, he terrified them into submission. His favorite punishment? Impalement. He'd take a long wooden stake, sharpen one end, and force it through a person's body, sometimes from the bottom up, leaving them to die slowly over hours, even days. The victims would scream, unable to move, while birds pecked at their eyes. Vlad would often eat his meals among the dying, calmly dipping bread into their blood as if it were soup. It wasn't madness to him, it was strategy. He believed that fear was stronger than any army. When the Ottoman Turks sent 20,000 soldiers to invade, they found something horrifying. Outside Vlad's capital stood a forest of the impaled. Tens of thousands of corpses rotting on stakes as far as the eye could see. The stench was so overwhelming that the Ottoman commander turned his army around and fled. Even his own people were terrified of him. He punished thieves and liars by mutilation, burning, or slow torture. But oddly, under his brutal rule, crime almost disappeared. No one dared to steal. No one dared to lie. Vlad believed he was chosen by God to rule through fear and iron. He once invited hundreds of nobles to a grand feast, and while they were eating, he accused them of corruption. Before the night ended, he impaled them all on spikes right outside the hall as music played in the background. 5. King Herod. Herod was rich, powerful, and terrified of losing his throne. He executed his wife, his brother-in-law, and 3 of his sons because he thought they were plotting against him. According to the Bible, he ordered the massacre of the innocents, killing all baby boys in Bethlehem to destroy a prophecy of a new king. Even Rome called him a monster. When Herod was dying, he ordered that hundreds of nobles be executed at his death so someone would cry when he died. Thankfully, that command was never carried out. 4. Emperor Nero. Nero wanted to be a performer, not a ruler. But Rome paid the price for his ego. When Rome caught fire in 64 AD, Nero was said to have watched the flames while playing music, whispering, "What a beautiful fire!" Thousands died, and he blamed Christians, burning them alive as human torches at his garden parties. 4. Emperor Nero. Nero wanted to be a performer, not a ruler. But Rome paid the price for his ego. When Rome caught fire in 64 AD, Nero was said to have watched the flames while playing music, whispering, "What a beautiful fire!" Thousands died, and he blamed Christians, burning them alive as human torches at his garden parties. 4. Emperor Nero. Nero wanted to be a performer, not a ruler. But Rome paid the price for his ego. When Rome caught fire in 64 AD, Nero was said to have watched the flames while playing music, whispering, "What a beautiful fire!" Thousands died, and he blamed Christians, burning them alive as human torches at his garden parties. He killed his own mother, his wife, and anyone who criticized his singing. When the empire finally turned against him, Nero ended his own life crying, "What an artist dies in me!" Rome didn't mourn, it sighed in relief. 3. King Leopold II. He ruled Belgium, but his true kingdom was far away in Africa. Leopold called it the Congo Free State, but it was anything but free. He forced millions of Africans to collect rubber for his profit. If a village didn't meet its quota, soldiers chopped off people's hands, sometimes children's hands, to teach a lesson. It's estimated that over 10 million people died under his command. He never visited Congo, never saw the horror, but became one of Europe's richest men from the suffering of millions. They called him the Builder King, but the only thing he truly built was an empire of corpses. 2. Ivan the Terrible. He started out as a brilliant ruler, but ended as a paranoid, bloodthirsty monster. Ivan created a secret police force called the Opichnina, who rode black horses and dressed in black, dragging thousands to torture and death. Whole cities were burned to the ground. Ivan watched from a hill as women and children were thrown into icy rivers, laughing as they drowned. His greatest crime. In a fit of rage, he struck his own son's head with his iron staff, killing the only person he truly loved. The moment he realized what he had done, he screamed so loud the palace guards fled in terror. Russia would never forget his reign or his madness. 1. Caligula. When Emperor Tiberius died, the people of Rome cheered. His successor, Caligula, seemed like a dream come true. He was young, handsome, and charming, the beloved son of a war hero. Crowds followed him everywhere, throwing flowers and shouting his name. But that joy didn't last. Power didn't just change Caligula, it destroyed him. Historians say that after only a few months on the throne, Caligula suffered a terrible illness. And when he recovered, it was as if his soul had died. He became cruel, unpredictable, and frighteningly insane. He began to call himself a living god. He ordered temples built in his honor and demanded that people worship him or die. Senators, generals, even priests, everyone had to bow before him. If anyone hesitated, they were executed on the spot. Caligula loved humiliating Rome's elite. He forced senators to run beside his chariot in the streets like slaves, laughing as they gasped for breath. He invited wealthy men to banquets, and halfway through dinner he'd nod to his guards, who dragged the guests away to be killed. Then Caligula would calmly sip his wine and joke about how silent the table had suddenly become. He even turned the palace into a brothel, forcing the wives of Rome's most respected men to serve his guests for money that went straight into his pockets. But his madness didn't stop there. He adored his horse, Insidious, more than most people. He built the horse a marble stable, gave it golden oats, and even made it a priest. Some say he planned to make it a consul of Rome, one of the highest political positions in the empire, just to insult the government. Caligula treated human life like a joke. He once lined up prisoners for execution, then, bored of watching them die one by one, ordered them all to be killed at once for efficiency. At the games, when he ran out of criminals to throw to the lions, he had innocent citizens dragged from the crowd and tossed into the arena just to keep the entertainment going. He enjoyed fear. He fed off it.